Welcome, everybody. We're live in Viata's tiny house village. Blog Talk unfortunately didn't last, but Viata's village will last on and on and on. You know why? Because it takes a village to raise children, and we got a lot of adult children that are walking around that need our help. So that's why the village is here. So let me welcome my Tiny House Village YouTube channel. We are on YouTube, Viata's Tiny House Village. So welcome. Come on in, everybody, to Viata's Tiny House Village. And we are live on Facebook, Soul Purpose Healing. So thank you for joining me tonight. We have got royalty in the house tonight. I'm telling you, I read this brother's biography, his resume, whatever. I had to blink. I had to read it twice. There was so much good stuff, juice in there. And I just like, whoa, we're going to be in for a real treat tonight when AMUN comes on and shares his journey with us. I'm so excited. But for now, we want to invite our ancestors to come in and bring light, bring unity, bring truth, bring all that we need to go to the next level of awareness. So I am going to bring in my favorite drummer, Becca Shea. Becca Shea is going to help us drum in our ancestors. So come on in. We've got several people in the green room right now, so I'm excited. I got a whole tribe here tonight. And our brother AMUN is going to share his amazing website that is just, we could just go hours and hours just reviewing his website. So True Black Light, we're going to review that as well. But let's get your drums out, and welcome the ancestors so we can get this party started, even right now. Let's do it. Right now.
And his blood has run some people for God. From every tribe and language, people, every nation. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. It's your time to rise and shine. Wake up, you sleeping giant. Those of injustice are being healed by the peace. Oh, Yahweh is bringing us power through unity. Where warriors are falling, there's there's a resurrection coming. Dry bones come alive. Yeah, wake up, you sleeping giant. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, yeah, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. Together we cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat. This is the hour to know whose side to stand by. Raise up the standard in battle for every fellow tribe. Our warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. Search for such a time. Yeah, arise, you blazing fire. Brave and stand firm and listen to your destiny. The rhythm of our Father moves with victory. Where warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. So much so God and arise, blazing fire. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, yeah, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. Together we cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. Together we cry. Yes, you are. Bring us together. Bring us together. We cry out, out for your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat.
All right, all right, all right, already. We got a full house tonight. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Ooh, got a lot of people in the house tonight. I'm looking for a moon. Where's a moon? Thank you all for being here. Now, for those of you who don't know who Yeshua is, that's Yeshua is the spirit of love and truth. And I go back a long way from birth to now, bringing a spirit of truth and love in the name Yeshua, which some people call Jesus. But today we can move it, we can evolve. We can evolve into the reality that there's a Messiah coming back right here in this brain. Truth, spirit of truth and love has returned, is returning in many of us. And I call that spirit Yeshua. So that's what that song is all about, bringing a spirit of truth and love to the current day chaos, conflict, blah, 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 blah. But oh, we got the good news. TikTok is back on the air. TikTok is working. And I have to say, you people are going to fall in love with Trump pretty soon. All you haters out there, when this man finishes doing what he's got to do for us, you're going to be in love with this man like so many. But I went to TikTok by accident on YouTube. And the first song that came up, I didn't even know it was working at the time. The first song that came up was a woman singing this song, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." And it was like probably a minute video of her singing, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It won't work. It won't work." I mean, that's just one of my favorite songs, warrior songs. No weapon formed against us. Let's just say us who are here tonight, consciously awake, coming to hear from our king, our royalty, Amun, tonight about sexual science of prayer, science of soulmates, natural sexual union. No weapon will can be formed against us. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's the first message when TikTok came back on the air. Thanks to President Trump, soon to be President Trump. All right. Thank you all for joining me. We got people in YouTube, we got people in Facebook. Let's see who's in YouTube tonight. My Higher Learning Network, my sister Zelda is here for Monday Morning Mindfulness. She says, "Great evening, wonderfully wise and colorful sister. Love the outfit. Yay!" This was a last minute thing, my sister. I'm telling you, I was rushing so much tonight, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking forward to another lively learning experience. I'm telling you, I am too. This brother tonight is indeed Washington Wellness Center, my sister. The Tawida says, indeed, indeed. So I have got to, there are so many people on Chef Amun. I found him. I found him. I found him. Woohoo! Welcome, brother. Welcome. Let's blow you up because we want everybody to see this beautiful brother tonight. Amun, is that what we're calling you by your name tonight?
Oh yes, yes, you can call me Amun.
Okay, so Amun,
I don't
welcome.
have yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you. As I said earlier, I read your biography, your resume, and all that. I thought, wait a minute, I got to read this again because this is like royalty in the house. Now, I want you to just tell everybody a little bit about you. But the first question I have: were you born in South Africa?
No, no. I was
Okay,
born in America.
okay,
Sweet
but
home Alabama.
your resume speaks a lot about your connection to Africa. So you evidently had a lot of training from kings, queens, whatever in Africa. Is that right?
Well, I had some initiations in Africa that I actually went through in Malawi. Other places like Cameroon, I was affiliated with and had a lot of connections with South Africa as well as Botswana. So I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah.
That's a good thing. I'm getting ready to travel to Belize. Have you ever been to Belize?
No.
100%. That's it. That's I have asked about 50 people. Have you ever been to Belize? No. Have you ever been to Belize? No. I'm gonna be the first to bring a YouTube video. Belize 2025. It's like I did with Cuba. I went to Cuba 2 years ago. Not too many people had been there. They didn't even know they could go to Cuba. I'm like, this is where I think I'm headed this year, doing a lot of traveling,
Okay.
bringing these places to my friends and family who've never been.
Hmm.
So, Brother Amun, let's hear from you. Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Let's start with, you said you were born in Alabama.
Yeah, I was born in Alabama to a very cultured family who had a Islamic background and
Islam.
studied. Yeah, Islamic background, Native American teachings. Teachings about history around the world. A lot of Black history, Black nations, ancient Egyptians, ancient Babylonians, ancient Sumerians. This is teachings all over the place. So, my family, aunts and uncles, took me in about around 6 years old, and they taught me until I was about 16. And then that's when I joined certain spiritual schools of thought, certain secret societies and things like that, Masonry, Rosicrucian, Illuminati stuff. So I got initiated into all of that. And I just kept going on, and I eventually realized that I had to share a lot of these ancient teachings with people and try to use them to help people. I didn't believe in holding things secret, but I do believe that you shouldn't cast pearls to swine, meaning give things to people that they should not, or if they're not ready for it, you see. So I went on and became grandmaster in certain secret societies in Alabama. I went from there on into, they have their own enlightened circles, like Illuminati circles and things like that. I was invited into eventually back in 2011. And I went up the ranks in that particular circle, and went on to Africa. Made certain connections with certain elders, and those elders connected me with certain entities in the divine world. So from there, I've been guided by them, and so um, eventually we uh, I ran into Black Root Science. I was introduced to Black Root Science by a sister in the Nation of Islam back in it was early 2000s, before 2010, around 2006, 7, and eventually started to saturate Black Root Science all over social media, and other people got involved. In the late Chief Zakur, I'm pretty sure you know who that is, right?
Who?
Sister Tahida,
Oh,
Chief
of course.
Zakur. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So me and Chief Zakur is like this. So we were very, very close, and I introduced Black Root Science to him, the book, and from there we took off, and he's the one that spearheaded the Black Root Science page. It's on Facebook. It has over 400 some thousand followers and likes and what have you. He also spearheaded the Black Root Science conference call. So that all of that stuff, evolved, and when he made transition, he put me in charge of that, and I've been continuing it on since. I like to say we, because we are collective doing it together. So we have clubhouse meetings, classes. Uh, um, we also have various classes dealing with different subject matters like science of healing, um, the science of soulmates, marriage, and divine family structure. Some of the things that you was exposed to on our page, the trueblacklight.com page. So when you're looking at sex versus divine relations, the science, words of wisdom, all those are just different subject matters that we felt we needed to cover because of the deterioration factor with our people. Our people are in a very deteriorated state. They don't have no morals. Morals are depleted. No honesty, no trust. Couples can't last any longer. So I just felt the need to share what I was given, and that led to where we are right now.
This is so important to brother Chief Amun, because this is the time to bring your light to a very confused society, country that we live in. Part of it is the Diddy crowd, the music that many of our country, our citizens have grown up with, unfortunately. I mean, I was listening, my son was telling me about there's a Stevie Wonder thing going on next week. And he grew up with Stevie Wonder and all that, but he also grew up with Diddy and some of those other rappers. So your teaching is become even more important as we, I think, are coming out of the confusion of what is art, what is the science of prayer, what is the science of soulmates, what is natural sexual union. All that was brought, we were confused about all these subjects for so long. And now is the time to bring that truth back to our families and even this country, because a lot of people are thirsty, black or white, for what you're teaching, what I'm teaching, what Neb Tahark is teaching. A lot of people are so thirsty for that, and it's our job to be steadfast and not be discouraged, not be distracted by the naysayers that, well, we don't want to know about that. Blah, blah, blah. No. We know what we're here to do. It's time. It's way past time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I said earlier, TikTok came back on, everybody was freaking out because, we don't have any more TikTok. What are we going to do? Oh, well, Mr. Trump went in there and said, listen, people, get that back online before I have to go and spank the people. He's such a bully, but I love it. And this woman, the first thing I heard was, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So I'm like, yes, we're back on. We're back on. The message is clear. We're not going to get on TikTok and do foolishness. We're going to get on there and take over with light and with wisdom and the science of sexual union, the science of let's just start with those three topics. There's so much we could cover from your website. And let me just, well, and by the way, we've got a lot of people who you've probably given the link to, but we've reached our max. We can't let anybody else. We got 10 people in the green room. So you have to let me know who you'd like me to let in on this show, because there are several people in the green room. I don't have any. Oh, okay, I have
I
names. I do
can't
have.
see it. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll tell you after we show your website, give a little. Is that okay with you? We kind of do a preview of your website,
Oh yeah.
and then we're going to get into the three topics that we put in for tonight: the science of prayer, the soul science of soulmates, and the science of natural sexual union. And maybe some of your family might want to chime in as we get into those conversations. But let's just bring up this beautiful website. Oh my goodness, it's just awesome. And give people a little preview of what you're doing. It's called True Black Light, right? .com. Is
Yes.
that right? So here we start out.
Yep.
True Black Light. Unlock this. See, what did you have a comment?
No. We actually we got some upgrading to do on the site, but
Okay.
that site basically houses all the classes and the books. Some of the books are not done yet. I'm actually working on the science of prayer, but the words of wisdom, the black and white magic mirror, and what else is up there? Yeah, no, that's the classes.
Yeah.
All of that is the classes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a
So those,
nice website.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. And then we have the science of marriage, soulmates, and divine family structure. A lot of those are subject matters that a lot of people overlook. Um, they want to talk about, UFOs and aliens and Anunnaki and all this stuff, but they can't even keep their household straight. They can't even get
That's
along with a partner and things like that, that's the foundation of any organization or um, any type of, if you want to build a nation, if you can't build a nation in your household first, then you can't build a nation. So it's like people skip over that. They don't understand the importance of learning proper decorum, civility, morality, proper hygienics, all these different things like that. They just want to skip that and just go straight to, I'm big, and want to build a mighty nation, and I'm this and that. The Anunnaki, we need, all that crazy stuff. We don't have time for that. Our people lack a lot of focus and discipline and consistency, and they make excuses blaming it on
you
distractions.
know
But that's not something that they should use as an excuse, because you can train the mind. You have the power to focus your mind on mental stability and build what we call the armor of God. You see that? So you can block all that stuff out. I mean, you can turn the TV off. I just had a class recently talking about that, distractions and things like that, and how much people should focus on meditation and things. But all of that is distractions is just an excuse. Our people do not spend enough time with themselves. They spend too much time with the goings on, and whether you want to call it the conscious community or NBA, NFL, sports, and all that stuff. But all of that stuff serves as distractions. But the greatest thing that you can defeat is yourself. But that requires a person to learn the science of stillness, to be able to still the mind, so that they can hear the God within them clearly. If you can't still the mind, you cannot hear the God within you clearly. And that entity, which is the true you, has all answers. There's nothing that it doesn't have. If that's the true you, that means that you have or know all things. So in order to know yourself, you have to clean yourself up and purify yourself, and live like that for the rest of your life. You see.
That's right. That's right. So that's why we're here. And that's why I have the opportunity to invite brothers and sisters like yourself who are bringing an energy of transformation, because everything you just said is so true. And it's like it starts with each one of us taking that time to be still and hearing from the Most High Source Spirit. So let's start with the science of prayer. What are you writing about? What are you hearing that people need to understand about prayer? Because there are people in my life who are still on their knees with their head bowed, and that's a tradition of mostly Muslims. And but I'm like, prayer is 24/7 for me. I don't care where I am. I'm
That's
connected
right.
to the Most High. I don't have to be on my knees. I don't have my head bowed. I don't have to be in a closet. The closet is in here. So, what is it you want to share with us about the science of prayer that we've been missing because we ain't connected like we should be?
Well, what they call the lower self is really not, I don't like to call it the lower self. If you want to say the imperfected part of you, which is the soul aspect, soul is character or personality. Spirit is the eternal part of you. And prayer is simply the science of communicating with your own inner self. That's it. And so as you communicate with your own inner self, you build a relationship. As you build that relationship, what they call the lower self or the soul begins to take the form of that which is eternal within the person. So a person begins to perfect themselves. Once they get strong enough, they become the prayer. You see that? And so when you're communicating, if you want to, if you want to communicate with your inner self, you're doing prayer right there. If you want to ask for something, you confirm that as if it's all like you already have it, similar to auto suggestion. You see that? So people have to learn to listen to their inner voice. Like I said, it's 1,000 times. Have you ever made a mistake, a big mistake, and then you, as soon as you make the mistake, you say, "I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew I." The fact that you knew shows that something already told you not to do that before you even made that mistake. So
Right,
within this circle, we teach you how to listen to that voice and be able to hear that voice before you go and make the mistake. You see that? So, but you have to turn the knob up. You have to turn the knob up on that radio, the inner radio, and tune out the static. And that takes practice and discipline and focus and consistency. And see, and now you only thing you have in the so-called circles of the know is talk, 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 but no practice, no application of anything. You see, so that's what we focus on more. So, so prayer, the science of prayer, is the science of learning how to communicate with your inner self. So within that book, you also learn how the science of prayer, it dissolved and got watered down into ideologies and concepts and so forth and so on, and false beliefs, and you know and what our people did when they started to wake up, they said, "Oh, Christianity ain't nothing." They threw Christianity out the window, but they threw the corn out with the shaft instead of checking, the corn and throwing the shaft out. They threw prayer, the essence of it, you see, and a lot of those kernels, and they left with nothing. That's why I say a lot of times I'm not a Christian by far, but when our people threw out religion, they had no structure at all, nothing. They just went around saying, "Oh, I'm God, I'm God," and they, getting high, smoking weed, getting drunk, and all this stuff, and at the same time saying they conscious and so forth. Nah, it doesn't work like that. But prayer is simply it's the science of learning how to communicate with your inner self, which is the true you, and the personality. That's something that starts at conception. The true you was in existence before conception. You see that? Now we're dealing with spiritual ancestral lineage versus biological ancestral lineage, which that goes into details in the book Black Root Science. Yeah. So
the
that's
only thing, yeah, the only thing I would add to that is don't have regrets about the decisions you make and you say, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." Let me tell you why. Synchronicity is huge in my life because things happen to me, and then I get a confirmation that it's was supposed to happen, even though you might feel like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Like I was at Whole Foods and I was checking out at the self checkout, and I forgot something. I was like, oh, I forgot my crackers because I had bought some soup and I wanted it. I was coughing. I said, I wanted some soup. I want some crackers. So the guy who was manning the self checkout, he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll watch it for you. Just go get what you need. So I said, okay. I ran and got what I need. When I came back, this guy was trying to check out where I was checking out. And I was like, hold on. That's my stuff. That's my stuff. I said, but you can pay for it if you want. He said, okay. Pulled out his credit card. And he said, go ahead and scan that thing. I said, okay. And I'm like sitting like, am I dreaming? I'm like, I scanned what I had forgotten. And he said, okay. So he put his credit card down. And, even though I had regrets about, oh, why did I forget that? Why come I didn't remember that? And then I had to run back and I was rushing. And this guy, I looked at him and said, are you some kind of angel? He said, maybe. And he just tipped his credit card and said, keep smiling. And I walked out of there like I was walking on air. I was over $60 worth of groceries. Some stranger put down his credit card and said, I'll take care of that. And it's because I said, okay, are you going to pay for that? And he said, okay. And I'm like, authority. I'm like walking out my chest. So the regret sometimes we hang on to too long is what my point is. I agree with everything you just said. And especially that's power communicating with your inner self. That's how your intuition affirms that no matter what happens, you're in divine order. Because what happened to me was like one more confirmation. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Even if I'm like, do I really need all this stuff? And then at the end of a grocery shopping, I count all the numbers. It comes to a 7. Guess I needed everything I bought. So that's the only thing I would add to it, what you just said. Communicating with your inner self, having peace about your mission, your purpose. When you have the mind of love and wisdom in working with you. And that's why you and I are together tonight. And that's why our sister brought us together, because that's what we got to build now is this wisdom, this love, this purpose and intention. And you're right, starting with prayer, connecting to self, which is the kingdom inside, right? Yeshua, the Messiah, said the kingdom is within you. That's another Christian saying that people forget. They kind of threw that out. But you need to remember that part, the kingdom right in here. Just talk to the kingdom, pray to talk to the king, communicate to the kingdom. So thank you.
I was just going to say in the African system, we say South Bakatla, they talk about the first self in Botswana, the first self and the second self. The second self would be the soul, personality, the mind, the consciousness, or the objective consciousness. And then the subjective part of the consciousness or the all-knowing mind would be the first thought or the first mind. Yeah. So, when I was explaining that, it was more so speaking about, I was trying to point at the fact that everybody, the all-knowing is within everybody. And that's something that our people talk about a lot, but they need to learn or have some kind of science in how to tap into that. And not just talk about one time when I was sitting down, I did this and that. Because I hear that a lot in YouTube videos, but they don't have any kind of rigorous structure of an everyday practice for years. And that's what goes on in, let's say, the Himalayan mountains. That's what goes on amongst the Dogon people. That's what goes on amongst the Bakatla people of Botswana and South Africa. And they practice these things until they become like masters, So we have to make, like I said before in one of the classes, we have to make that which is tangible to us, like, the physical world, the concept of paying bills, making money, going this place. We have to make the spirit world tangible as well. We have to make the divine inside just as tangible. because most people that talk about that, they would not rely on it if, if their life depended on it, they wouldn't rely on it. God flies out the window, the inner being flies out the window. They don't want nothing to do with that. But then when things calm down, okay, now we can try to call on the Most High within us, our true self, you see. But that takes a lot of rigorous practice, dietary regimen, and there's a lot of things. That's the purpose that the reason that we have these classes and things like that. And we also have the Universal Order of the Black Light, which is our own society or school of thought that will be opening soon, that will cover all, sciences from, out of body, what they call out of body experience, training on that, training on the utilization of the higher senses, and so forth and so on. So a lot of the stuff that I was taught, I'm taking that and implementing that, but I'm implementing it for our people. Okay.
Now, how did you meet our sister Toita? Because you're in Alabama. Are most of your family or your community in Alabama? Or do you have an international or a international group of people?
Actually, it's a brother Imhotep, one of my close brothers, who also went through the initiation system with me. He was actually talking to a sister that was a part of the Washita. And that was back in 99, 2000, around that time. So when I was with him, he let me know about the sister. He was like, oh man, she got a lot of beautiful concepts and a lot of things, a lot of knowledge and stuff. So he introduced me to her, and she introduced me to Chief Zakur, that you call sometimes Zaki. So from there, me and him was like white on rice. We couldn't get off the phone with one another. So he eventually came. We have a festival in Alabama every year. My uncle does, African American Heritage Festival. And Chief Zakur came down for the first time. I met him in person. So we've been dealing with one another around since about 99 or 2000, somewhere around there. So so it was basically through social media. And then from there, the phone, and then from there in person. And we find out our destinies were supposed to intertwine. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Again, synchronicity is so important, to be in tune with the events that are happening that are no accident. Everything's in divine order, people coming in and out. And so just to get a little introduction into prayer and the inner self, what about soulmates? Science of soulmates. A lot of people looking for that perfect individual, that partner, whatever. But you know what I thought my first husband was my soulmate. And our relationship lasted almost 40 years, 37 years, something like that. He was a great teacher for me. Oh my goodness. He taught me about integrity and patience. Those are the two biggest lessons. So tell us about the science of soulmates. Let's help people come down to earth about this. And there is not this perfect person, because I didn't have a perfectly conflict-free marriage. There was a lot of lessons that I was learning, and I got to the point of saying, okay, what's the lesson? I don't like this, but what's the lesson? I learned the lesson again. And to this day, we are the best of friends. We have 2 great grandchildren, and we're good friends, because I said, I'm going to graduate from this Marriage 101 class. I ain't going to kill him, and we're not going to be slapping each other around and none of that. We're going to learn lessons, and we did. So tell us about the science of soulmates that people may not understand.
Well, I guess I can give the gist. Like in the book Black Through Science, to talk about the science of soulmates is the science of compliments, and how duality, science of compliments, and duality is everywhere. It's in all things. You see that? So in the teachings of the African systems down in the South, Bakala people, they teach the science of compliments, that for every Black boy child born, there's a Black female child born, about 2 to 6 years apart from one another. And in their culture, they have a system where the woman is pregnant with the child, They would put her in a trance while they playing drums and all these things like that to help her go in a trance to alter her consciousness. And then the elders would speak to her and or speak to the woman, but they're really speaking to the child in the stomach. And the child would utilize the body of the mother to tell the elders two different things. The first thing it would tell the elders is the whereabouts of where their soulmate is going to be born, what village, or give certain sounds or certain things that how the elders interpret these sounds, and they know where that child will be born. The second thing that that child will tell the elders is its destiny, why it's incarnating. So once it gives that information, then they can create a space for that particular human being that's coming through. They could create a space in the village and prepare for that soul to take, whether the soul may be a healer. So they are prepared for that boy child to be a healer. And then that person will go through rites of passage for about 16 years and graduate from there. Then they'll go into more focused initiations. And so when the child reaches about, let me back up, when the child reaches around puberty, well, even prior to that, once a child is born and then the other child is born, at a certain point, they put them in the same proximity and they raise them together and they playing with each other like they're friends and so forth and so on. Once they hit puberty and pass a little past that on into graduation of rites of passage, then they marry them. And the bond that they bring together is through the ancestors. You see that? And through the ancestors, and then through the flesh. And then they say that God has manifested again. God is one in spirit. God has now come together in flesh. So male and female make one thing. That's the hieroglyphic symbol for God, according to that particular tribe, is a circle. You see that? So when soulmates come together, soulmate pairs, they complete one another. You got two fortified people that come together to make one fortified whole. You see that?
Wow.
So, yeah. So they will go on. And also I want to say this, according to those teachings, they have the same higher self. So the higher self that he feeds from is the same higher self that she feeds from. You see that?
Yeah.
So that higher self, prior to incarnation, it's a split. It's split as two souls. You see that? So that is the greatest. That person to be one of soulmates is the greatest potential that in everything that someone can have by getting with the soulmate. But you can get with your soulmate and it end up in a divorce or ruin or what have you. So,
which there's nothing wrong with divorce. I don't know how you feel about that, but I have a feeling some people think divorce is, quote, bad. That's the duality to me that people maybe need to correct, because sometimes you're not meant to be with someone in marriage 101, but so long, you know. I had a brother when he was a pastor. When I told him, he said, well, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I'm getting a divorce. Oh my goodness. How could you do that? I'm like, the Most High told me to do it. That's how I've looked at it, because I was in an airplane coming back home after 30 some years of marriage. And I was sitting next to a divorce attorney on this plane. And for 3 hours, this guy was telling me all of that. I was telling him, well, you know, I'm not happy in my marriage, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, here, this is what you can get. Pulled out his laptop, showing me all the details about divorce. And I'm like, okay. And I said, this is a divine appointment again. It was time for this relationship to end. And so as long as you're not ending it in anger, bitterness, and negativity, to me, it's okay. Move on. Next. What's the next lesson?
Well, I have teachers myself, and they don't look at. I mentioned to my teacher about, you know, well, actually, he mentioned to me when I had to go through an initiation process prior to being introduced to my soulmate. and they would not let me know who my soulmate was before that process was done. But um, um, it's they don't look at, well, those entities in the divine world. A divorce is not looked good upon, but they look at, if you get with your soulmate and it happened, they do look at that as bad. Uh, they don't. And one thing he said was that he said that divorce from your soulmate is very bad. And I said, well, what about the people? I said, it's a lot of people that's with people that's very compatible, with one another. They're very compatible, and they mixed up some people with this person. He said, yeah, it's sad. I was like, why did he say that? He said it was sad, like, because he comes from, well, certain it's multiple entities that I'm talking to. So one of the entities is a being that used to be alive in ancient Egypt about 3,500 years ago. And during that time, to be with your soul, to most people were with their soulmate. The culture was so strong that that was just the norm to find a person's soulmate. It doesn't mean everybody was with their soulmate though, but a soulmate was somebody that you have been with for an eternity. Some people have had. I'm speaking about their higher self. That part of them is the only part that reincarnates is your higher self. Each time that it incarnates, it creates a new personality or a new soul, according to the teachings. So some people have been here hundreds of times, and each time the same essence. They meet up with that person, but the soulmate. Going back past Lemuria, Atlantis, and on hundreds of thousands of years, on into trillions of years ago, they have always been with their soulmate. And this is the first time um, dealing in a world like this where so much chaos, everybody just, they just get with anybody just based on what they feel from flesh. Oh, this person looks nice. Let me get with this person. But the person has demonic spirits inside of them, but they don't care because the person is cute. But they don't look at chaos period as accordingly. They don't look at that as so good, but it's real. If you get with your soulmate, it's real big to not make it with them because they feel that is the person that you ultimately have to be with. So it was some more things that were said that was more on a personal level, but they're very serious about making it with the soulmate. They're very serious about that's what I can say. It's a great hope because that's so yeah.
That we have a question from our Naima Latif, who's our executive producer. She says she has a friend who had said she was told by Creator at the age of 10 that his soulmate was being born, and 30 years later told him who she is before she became well known. She's 10 years younger than him and a public figure. Now she's about to marry someone else. Does it ever happen that soulmates fail to connect with each other? What do you say?
Yes. That's the majority in this day and time.
Okay.
Is that as people, according to the teachings, it's people nowadays, because of the conscious growth, when your consciousness expands, the electromagnetic field around you expands. What you call the aura, it also expands. The mind expands. Everything about you expands. Your powers expand. So your ability to magnetically bring that soulmate into your life is more likely to happen. You see, so but there will come a time when everybody will be with who they're supposed to be with, who they were born to be with, and that's always how it was explained to me. Is the Most High's plan A is for you to be with the soulmate. They said a plan B is somebody that's very compatible with you, can be very resourceful, but they said in no way can it compare to the soulmate, because even when you're talking about divine relations or what you refer to as sex and you come together, the energies are totally different. The energies are and they have to build it up. If it's certain things that they can do, the possibilities as far as in the natural sexual unionship or divine relations is much. It can go much further with a soulmate couple than let's say people that are just very compatible. You see that? But I don't like talking about that too much because then some people get discouraged. Oh, I don't know if I'm with my soulmates. I don't know, especially when you give a time frequency, the age gap between, because there's an age gap that these scientists or spiritual scientists say that soulmates incarnate, usually from 2 to 6 years apart. That's what they've given. But they said that I think 2 years apart is perfect because of the maturation rate. But it's no such thing as accordingly that a soulmate that is where the female is older than the male. That's what they said. But people have taken the concept of soulmate and redefined it all. They didn't call it soulmate in ancient times. In a conceptual way, it would be best called complements. But it was always with the person that was you. When you're with your soulmate, you're actually looking at yourself. That's the person when you can see your mistakes in. If I'm with my soulmate, if I'm with my soulmate or anybody, they become that mirror. And anything that I do that needs to be pointed out, hey, this part of your character, hey, you need to do this, you don't need to do that. That's why we have to have civility in relationships, know how to speak to one another. Because the shortcomings within myself, I wouldn't know unless she told me. You see that? And that's soul growth. So that means that marriage becomes very sacred at that point, very spiritual. You see?
Yes, and
But
okay, how about this, Chief Amun? You're either a student or a teacher in a marriage relationship, and you got to know when to shift your role because that person, just like you said, they're mirroring things about yourself that you need to pay attention to. It's like you're looking at the mirror at this partner you've married, and you're like, I don't really want to look at you because I see my flaws. Like I saw so many of my flaws with my spouse that I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to deal with that. But I was forced to, divinely forced to look at it. Look at yourself. And so how about the idea that if you're waiting for a soulmate, if you want a soulmate, you desire a soulmate, you got to learn how to be a student. And you got to know when that other person also needs to hear from you as a teacher. Now, what if that other person ain't ready for that teaching? Then you're going to have arguments, you're going to have conflict, you're going to have disagreements. So if both people are really in a soulmate position, then are both of them ready to be student and teacher exchanging all the time? No, usually they're not, unless the other person has been healed of their nervous system traumas, let's say, because I think that's what interferes with people really recognizing that this is your soulmate. You still carrying all that baggage from mama and papa and grandpa and all that. And that's why you ain't ready. You don't recognize this person as your soulmate.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's why a lot of the things that we teach in a lot of the classes is you have to look at the issues today. People are just passing demons around, traumas around, and passing this trauma to this person. This person passing to this person having casual sex with this person, have no kind of spiritual fortification with this person whatsoever. Just casual sex here, casual sex there, which is being promoted by the media and television, music, and so, which I call the music on the radio nowadays is just demonic. That's what I call it, because that's what it is. It's demonic. But a person has to first spend a lot of time with themselves to heal, go through fasting and meditation, and go deep within themselves and face what they've gone through, the traumas, face those traumas, and then create a new paradigm and overlap that on top of that and see themselves in that new paradigm as the person that they should be, and then come back out of that. That's a part of the healing process. And ultimately, a 40-day, 40-night process like that would definitely do it. But most people, they don't care to heal. They just, it's very selfish actually. You never should just end one relationship and then just jump in another relationship too. It's not good whatsoever. So I agree with
And
everything you said. Go ahead.
we've got a comment from a brother here, Godly Expression. Do you know who this person is? No? Okay.
No.
He says the female can lead in some areas and the man can lead in some areas, but the man is the spiritual leader of the home, no ego involved. What do you say about that, Chief?
That's a loaded thing. You're gonna get me
Yeah,
shot.
open
No, but
mind, stay
okay.
spiritual.
Well, according to the spiritual teachings of our people, yes. But that comes with great responsibility. The man is the leader of the household. The closer the connection he has with his inner divinity, speaking about the Most High within him, then the better off his family would be. So he is and next comes the wife, and then comes the children, because you can't put the children before the wife, because the children will be neglected. And the wife cannot put the children before the husband, because the children will be neglected. Because she has to take care of the husband so that he can provide for her and she can provide for the children. So he take the seeds from his divinity. He sees the woman. I'm speaking about wisdom, knowledge, happiness, and caring for her, nurturing her, and showing her the way and teaching her. It's not a dictatorship, because a woman, she can take, like you give her a house, she can turn it into a home. You give her food, she magnifies that and turn it into a meal. You see, that's what so when he speaks to her, he has to learn to listen as well, so that he can get that valuable feedback. And now it's a snowball effect of success. You see that? But in order for a man to do that, a lot of brothers, I'm not saying that particular brother, but he's right on point. But it needs to be emphasized, because a lot of brothers want that respect, they want that position, but they're really not fit for that position. A lot of brothers talk about that, but you got to ask them, how good is your relationship with your inner being? How much do you fast? How much do you pray? How much meditation do you do? How close are you to that inner voice, that intuition? If you don't have none of those elements, then you're just wasting the sister time. You need to spend more time with yourself, go through about 6 months of that, make that inner connection, and then let that spirit choose that woman instead of you choose, and let the flesh choose that woman. You shouldn't do that. You see that? So I didn't choose the women that I did choose. It was no success. But so I said, look, I'm gonna let the divine world do that. And so when I did that, that's when they started asking me questions about what I wanted to do, this and that. These people have, these elders have a lot of wisdom. They got a lot of spirituality. The entities that they connected with in the divine world can see what we cannot see. So I've just gotten a lot of privy information on my life, why I incarnated, what I'm doing, what am I, what's to come. And that starts with the person that I'm gonna be with. You see that? So that's very, very important. And what I've learned I learned, some people learn from success, some people learn from failure. Either way, don't matter. As long as you take notes, you got the wisdom. You have to spend a lot of time with yourself and let spirit guide you, and not let, let's say, sexual energies guide you, or the way somebody looks, or devalue yourself and just give yourself to anybody. That's definitely not the way to go. But he's on point. He's right. The man is supposed to be the leader, but the Most High also puts that burden on him to lead that woman properly, and set the examples for the children, because they steady watching. They watching mom and dad in every way. Everything that comes out of daddy's mouth, everything that comes out of mama's mouth, how they come together, how he handles her, and also is very big. And when a man kisses a woman's body, he's worshiping God. He's worshiping the Most High. When she kisses his body, when she rubs and touches him, all that stuff is spiritual. And they're giving gratitude to the Most High and praising the Most High, because the body is just a temple. The inner self is what they're revving up. You see that? So those touches that they give, what they now it has, they call it some watered down, deteriorated thing like foreplay, which is I don't like using that terminology, and it's not the same thing. When we talking about sexual divine relations, but you moving what they
Let me
call
take,
some
let
people
me take
call it
a
Go
break
ahead.
before we get into the science of sexual union and more. Do you know it's Mooney? He says it's Mooney. Do you know who Mooney is? He said that's who the brother who
Yeah,
just commented.
I know who that is. Germani.
Okay. Okay. He
Yeah.
just wanted to identify himself. Hi, Mooney. It's good to have you here. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back,
All right, brother.
we're going to have to get into the science of natural sexual union, because we're totally confused about that in our society. And it's because of people like Beyonce, Cardi B, whatever her name is. They have totally confused the world about what is sex, what's pure, what's sacred. The body is no longer sacred in the entertainment world. It's like show it all, shake it all, and now we all girls and boys getting pregnant and confused. So we'll be right back, because we want to go into the science of sexual union, and that's where it all starts.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday, Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms. Listen at.
And that's our Female Solution, which is like your website. We're redoing a lot of things now that Blog Talk Radio has gone away. They couldn't last as long as the Village. So let's talk about the science of natural sexual union, because up to now, Brother Chief AMUN, the Village is still applicable for adults and children. I have 2 grandchildren who come and go because their parents are divorced. And so I don't know what's going on at their mama's house, but there's a lot of mess going on over there that I have to undo when they get here. But thank goodness my son has a very sane girlfriend who helps a lot. And then the Village is here to help raise these children who are not in the traditional family unit of mom and dad and doggy and whatever. So we have to redefine, or we have to re-educate up, maybe we should say, about what does it mean to be intimate. Like you said, kissing on a woman, kissing on a man is a sacred act. But
Yeah.
who knows that? Where'd that come from? Can we go into what is sacred? Let's just start. What's sacred, what's not, and why we're so confused.
Sacred is anything that involves God. It's not in the Christian sense. I mean, when I say God, I mean the true essence within the person, the creator of the earth, the moon, and the stars that's in us, our higher selves. Anything that's sacred or divine has the presence of goddess or God. That's that eternal essence. That's what makes it sacred. That's what makes it divine. You see that? So when a person goes and just finds somebody off the streets just because they got a big butt or big breast or something like that, it has no sacredness in it. So the best thing that they're going to have is 15 minutes of pleasure, but they have a lifetime of misery. You see what I'm saying? So doing things in a cultured way, like we just talked about soulmates, and now we're talking about in rites of passage, you learn how to cultivate one another. You learn how what a female is and what a male is, what females like, what they dislike, how they work. Like we was talking about the role of a woman, uh, and she's not behind a man; she's side by side. Even though he is a leader, she's still side by side with them, equal. They side by side with one another. He just has a certain nature, and he's wired different than she is. But it's really one thing. A man and a woman is actually one thing. They're not two separate entities in the spiritual sense. That's why, like with the Dogon, they have 12 gods of the day, 12 gods of the night. They really talk about 12 soulmate couples. Or like in the Bible, they mention the 24 elders. I'm gonna get into what you mentioned, the 24 elders, which in the African system they say 12 gods because they consider male and female one thing. They came together as soulmates. But sacrifice, honesty, and integrity, and sharing the destiny that you have. Soulmates have one destiny. They don't have two destinies. They have one destiny. He handles the masculine side of the destiny. She handles the feminine side of the destiny. He shows appreciation towards her. She magnifies that appreciation 1,000 times over. He shows honesty towards her. She magnifies his honesty. Anything that he puts into her, she magnifies it 1,000 times over. Now, this has to be a wholesome woman. And of course, he has to be a wholesome man because if he put poison in her, she's going to magnify that. You see that? And if he doesn't understand how she operates, and which is emotion, they're very emotional. Men are more mental. They have emotions, but they're more mental. So, as far as natural sexual union, it's not something that well, first, sex has two purposes. It has procreation and divine unity of the soul. When two people come together and become one, we speaking about that energy, orgasmic energy that everybody talks about. And like my teacher taught me, he said everybody in your realm always runs for the end result of the orgasm, the ejaculations and so forth and so on. But that's not how they did it in ancient times. That was just something on the side. That energy that would arouse inside of them would actually become one, and they can circulate this energy through their bodies through touch. But they first had to become one, and that had everything to do with I'm just going to call it intimacy instead of foreplay. When you get up in the morning, you're holding hands, you're praying together, you having that sacred moment of meditating together. Everything they said that couples are supposed to do everything together. And anytime you have a situation where you have one that does not want to do and always talk about me time, me time, me time, me time, me time, which is really we time, then there's an issue in there because nobody is supposed to be a burden to one another. But touching each other, um, uh, doing ritual baths with one another, going into meditation, sitting naked in front of one another, meditating with candles and so forth and so on. And once they connect with that fire energy, each one of them, they begin to touching. This alters the consciousness. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this alters the consciousness in each person. The intent then, or the desire then, is natural sexual union, but with the intent of the I'm gonna use this, but it's not really this. The sensation of oneness of the soul. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that has to be practiced. Uh, the other person, you can't do it by yourself. Both people have to do this and be on one accord. That's something that have to be practiced. And this energy rises, but the person is trying to get a spiritual high. They're trying to what they call the Kundalini energy, or that the Zulu call Mbilili. That energy rises up together in perfect union with that man. So they're in one with one another, rising up through all the glands that uh, Hindu people call chakras. It goes through all the glands, through the pineal gland, and they become one, like one body. Uh, an example of this, if you could put 12 people in a circle and they began to chant something simple like Om, they have the sensation that, wow, even though it's 12 people in a circle, it feel like I'm the only one chanting. It feel like I am everybody. You see that? I know you experienced that probably. So, but
Yeah.
that's the purpose of natural sexual union, and it also helps to balance out the instability or the unstable energies in relationships. That's why they talk about sexual healing. They arguing and stuff, then they end up having sex, and it just seesawing. But if they did it the right way, that seesaw start leveling off. You see, and that's the purpose of sex. Anything else is derogatory. These people are just flashing their naked bodies and stuff, talking about explicit stuff on the radio and all this stuff. So, but if you find your partner attractive, there's nothing wrong with voicing that to them, telling them you find them attractive or you like a body part on them or what have you. That's in your own space, in your own bedroom, which is your ritual space. That's not something that you put on the radio and show your body off on television and YouTube and media. And it's killing and destroying the minds of the youth and adults who are also youth. Some people 60 years old and they still 15.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know about Om and meditation, all that, because I had to break away from the Christian community. Some of that's oming and all that is demonic to them. So if you don't have, like you said, a sense of internal witness as to why I'm here, what am I doing here, you'll be stuck in a miserable place in religion and not exploring. See, I'm an old soul. I'm going through stuff real quick. I'm like, oh, Buddha, yep, let's practice that. Okay, yeah, let's home it. Let's do all that. Let's keep it moving, evolving. And some people still stuck in Sunday school singing Jesus loves me. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's not me. Sorry. Let's keep it moving. So we've got quite a few people in the on-air radio network. And Naima has a question or a state question here. She says, please speak to the vulgar, derisive way people refer to sex and how that diminishes the spiritual energy it's meant to enhance.
Because the way we define a thing actually affects our thought process and the way we approach a thing. If we talking about natural sexual union, that's something that doesn't sound like sex. Somebody like, what do you mean natural sexual union or divine relations? What do you mean by it? It's like something extra, you see. So a person, it would open a person's mind up to that definition. And so that entails a different approach. When you're just talking about sex, and what they already understand is sex in the subconscious mind, or should I say the computer mind, what they understand as sex, then that's what they program to do. So those words become trigger words like sex, get some, or what have you. All those words become trigger words to the subconscious mind, and that activates those low frequency energies, and then a person carries themselves in such manner, like so. So that's why we have to redefine what has been defined, and on all levels, not just sex. I mean, spirituality, even law. A lot of our brothers, I don't mean to go off track, but even law, they talking about don't use this word, don't call yourself black and stuff like that, because black means this. But even before there was a such thing as a European word, the existence of a Caucasian, we did use the word black, and we define it in a totally different way. But those words become trigger words and negative energies that's inside the subconsciousness of everybody. Just like, food. Like I was saying the other day, you riding down the street and you see a billboard and it has food on it. Everywhere you go, food, food, food. Television commercials. I don't even turn the TV on. Um, I don't care. I mean, if I go over somebody's house that got a television on, it's the only time I'm looking at it. Some people say, well, you're cutting yourself off from the world. No, I ain't got to worry about that, because if something go on, you're going to call my phone. So, yeah, but it's a trigger word, and it triggers negative energies. It triggers negative energies. Let me say this. I'm not against sexual relations. I'm not against that. But what I'm saying is the mindset of the people and the prostitution, because that's what's going on today. It's nothing but prostitution, moving from one person to this person to that person to this person to that, all this casual sex, no commitment, no kind of like, you shouldn't have sex with anybody you don't plan on marrying, actually. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. But using the proper words to describe how things should be defined is extremely important. I think that's
Well,
what she was asking.
yeah, and from my experience, people are using sex as a drug now. It's not what we just talked about, the higher purpose and sacredness and the reason. Sex is a drug in our society, as well as food. We talking about an opiate addiction. People are addicted to sex, period. So unless there's a healing of the mind that this is not a drug dispensary here, this is a sacred temple. And they don't teach this in church as much as they need to, because we wouldn't have this problem. We got a church on every corner, especially in Chicago. You go to Chicago, there's churches everywhere, and people addicted to drugs, killing each other. We totally out of balance in most of these big cities. But we've got some callers. I see Obadiah raised his hand, and he wants to make a comment or a question. Do you have a comment or a question for Chief Amun, Obadiah? Okay, wait a minute. Let me get his mic open. Go ahead.
First of all, I totally agree. Awesome show. You see, people have a mistaken understanding about relationships and sexuality and all that, because they seem to try to put that first. Can't put that before anything. That's why I talk to young people. I tell them, think about how you can develop yourself and what you put your purpose on. Who has first? That's why he was saying wasn't so much against sex, but what's the purpose of sex when you're not walking the same path? It's not the same mentality. That's why as a matter of fact, just my experience, when you really deal with somebody and you love them, sex happens to be the celebration. It's not the focus anyway. It just seems to happen down the road when you're following your spiritual path and your mental path. When the two agree that there's something there and there's a fire, then that works. But you can't create that. Either you have it or you don't. And for people to try to create that when it doesn't exist is sad to me, because that's not what it's about. As a matter of fact, I actually believe what you just said originally about the whole piece of people thinking that all you have is one life that matters like that. That's a mistake. You need a lot of people that touch you in so many ways. It's like making music or taking your talents and adding them to someone else's talents. There's always going to be a different song that's developed, because each piece has a different part that develops something else that someone else doesn't have. Only those have that. So I just appreciate the show. I'm in tune with everything. I agree. Mostly agree. But it's just, I agree that mostly people don't know who they are, so they think they have to be sexually funny.
Well, Chief Amun, he says sex is a celebration. Do you agree with that?
In the form of a gift, like some of these spiritual masters have taught, even in ancient times, that when a person wanted to appreciate their partner, or if you want to call it a celebration, if they want to honor their partner, if they want to show thankfulness to their partner, they go, thank you so much. And began the process of intimacy. So that did take place even in ancient times. It's still being it's taking place right now in enlightened societies. Like places of the Dogon. That's why they have a high sexual science amongst them, and that sounds foreign with a lot of people because they were like, "What are you talking about? I'd never seen any Dogons holding hand, kissing, or anything because it's sacred. You're not supposed to see it. That's the way you're supposed to be." But in that sense, yeah, if you want to call it a celebration, I can feel what he's saying.
So, how do you feel about polygamy or plural marriage?
It was explained by like these high initiates, if you want to call them high priests or spiritual masters, that polygamy actually prior to 6,000 years ago was not anywhere on the planet. Um, I'm not going off dates and times that mainstream so-called scientists have given, but polygamy is something that accordingly that we adopted in our society when we started to war against non-black race people, whether it be the Chinese or the Caucasians or this nation of people, what have you, and the men were being killed off. So you had women with children left at home when the soldiers would return, and they have nobody to take care of them. So we adopted that into our culture. It was more of a fix. We had also a lot of diseases that came from them that we adapted. We could cope with that, but we couldn't cope with the declination of the brothers and leaving the sisters at home with no one to take care of them. So we adopted that. After generation to generation, those many generations after that, they forgot the true purpose of that and just looked at it as something natural that something naturally occurs in our culture. So, but most people here, because of the sexual mentality, even on a subconscious level, a lot of them they do it, and I'm gonna say a high percentage. They just do it because they just want to have there's 3 women in a bedroom with them, everything at the sex, and so that's why I don't promote that. I know a lot of brothers that abuse women with that, and oh, you're not cultured. If you don't do this, you're not cultured. You don't do polygamy, brother. All you need is one woman. I mean, you know. So I'm not against it,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
but I'm just saying it's being misused and abused.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
it would go on for some time accordingly with the oracles and stuff. But after the planet gets to a certain point, everybody will move as soulmate couples again only accordingly.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not for everyone, and there are, in my opinion, there's too many women who are unhealthy to be in any type of plural polygamous relationship, because the people I've seen in those relationships are very mature. They're very healthy. They don't have a lot of jealousy, because that's what happens in those relationships. You like that woman, she can't do that to my man. Blah 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 blah. You can't do that. So you're right. It's not for everybody. But I would applaud anyone who can handle that type of relationship where a man has 2 women. In fact, I went to a wedding in a Hebrew Israelite setting where the man took on a second wife. And the first wife was there handing the signing the papers, and they were just to get all 3 of them were just so harmonious. And I'm like, this is weird, but very mature individuals. She was the first wife was older, the second one was younger, Hispanic, and they had a ministry going, and it was like they worked perfectly. But the average woman can't do that. That's too immature. Too Women are too immature for that. So don't even try it unless you're ready to take on a sacred position that this is where you're supposed to be, and the man, everybody's healthy, right? Can't have unhealthy people in a relationship like that. So
I would like to say also, if a woman doesn't take that role, it doesn't mean that she's less than. I didn't want
right,
no sisters
right,
feel
right.
like, oh, since I'm not in a polygamous relationship, then I'm less cultured. No, that's
No.
not true at all.
Mm-mm.
In the amongst the West African people that still do that, they have a reason that they're doing it. Like it could be, they need somebody to work the cattle and they don't really have the money or something like that. But, somebody that's a family member would just do it. And in turn, we can make money. But, just because, if you don't involve yourself in a polygamous relationship, that doesn't mean that you're less than a man. It don't mean that you're less than a woman. So it just depends on your destiny.
No, not at all. In fact, to be honest, I could be in that relationship, but the younger woman would have to want, like, she might want to have children, and the man might want to bear children too. I'd be ready to be a doula, help that woman in birthing. I ain't having no more babies, so I'd be ready to help her in that new relationship. And as long as the man can provide financially for both of us, or the household, or whatever, that could be a beautiful relationship, in my opinion. So we got another caller here. Who's next? Open your mic. Go ahead. Kwame, Sunhorse is next. Go ahead.
Baltimore just made a touchdown.
Baltimore just, hey, mute your mic. Hey, mute your mic. We ain't talking about no Baltimore touchdowns. Okay, Kwame, go ahead and leave the football out.
Yeah, and shalom, and to Chief AMUN, turn head. Anyway, but
shalom, brother.
He said shalom, brother.
Yeah, but anyway, the part that I'm hearing, and I haven't heard it yet. Now I know AMUN knows it, and I'm just why I didn't have it. You talk about having soul mate, but you got to first have a relationship with your soul maker,
which is you.
How many of us have a relationship with our soul maker?
Yeah, we talked about that first, actually. Yeah, inner self.
And okay, and then the soul maker, and then the part of sex. Sex is spiritual energy exchange. And that way is to produce another spirit with the energy of two souls that have been what you call into me see. How do you see yourself in your soul maker? And you see that in her, she sees that in you. And therein lies the ability to create another spirit, because when you're creating another spirit, it's what they call multi-transgenerational DNA. Well, what happens is that when she conceives, in that conception, that means that your grandchild is already in her. The grandchild is in the woman, where she has a son or a daughter. That means is that what's conceived in that spiritual energy exchange, that child is already carrying the next life. That once it comes onto the planet, it's going to create the next generation from the union of you and her having that spiritual energy exchange. So in essence is that's 3 generations created. Are you the progenitor and being that of the soul maker? Because that's what you're doing, is you're making 2 or 3 other souls that's going to come forth from you 2 people.
Chief
and
AMUN.
Therein lies the part of what we're talking about, the spiritual energy exchange.
Chief AMUN, you have a comment?
Well, I'll say this. A lot of times people use soul and spirit interchangeably. So we just say that from the teachings and amongst these circles, according to these elders, is that the soul is personality. According to the teachings in certain secret societies as well, whether it be Rosicrucians, Hermetic Gold, Thule Society, or what have you, they always teach that soul is personality. Soul starts at the moment of conception. So you go 9 months into birth. So you have 2 classifications of ancestors. You have a biological ancestral lineage and a spiritual ancestral lineage. The higher self part of you, or what we call the first self, that part of you is eternal. That's the true you. When that higher self, prior to incarnation, that higher self creates or splits into 2, formulating 2 different souls. The male always comes first, accordingly, and then the female second. They say in the mental realm, before it gets to if you were in the mental realm and that took place, it would seem like the incarnation was like within minutes from each other, but manifesting in the material, in the physical world, it's like the female child is born 2 to 6 years apart from the male child. Um, so the soul then develops from conception on 9 months into birth, and it gains its independence, which is what they call the sign horoscope stuff, and the different signs: Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and all this stuff, which is basically talking about the 12 different types of personality types that this thing would carry, or this human being. But the only thing that incarnates is the higher self. That higher self produces different personalities or different souls each time that it incarnates. So, and I pass on, and as my time comes and I go transition into the ancestral world, my higher self would then incarnate again, producing a newborn baby or a new soul. That soul, the newborn baby, then looks back at me as its ancestor. That's a spiritual ancestral lineage. And spiritual ancestral lineage does not follow bloodline all the time. It could be a Black Cherokee Native American. Next lifetime, that spiritual lineage has landed into the Zulu blood. And then it went over here to Ethiopian blood, but never non-Black. And that's one thing that the elders stressed, that it was never such thing as a Black person that used to be a white person or anything in that lineage like that. Not in the spiritual lineage. And that goes into a lot of other different things. Then you have a biological lineage, which is mom, dad, grandma, granddad, great grandmama, great granddad on both sides, or what they call the family tree. That's a biological lineage. But they said the true lineage follows this. That's the spiritual lineage. You see, so the spiritual physical lineage is what we call the soul seed, and that has to do with carrying genetics from here to there, and this person has this, and producing new children, and so forth and so on, and the next child, the next generation. But the soulmate couple, they have the same spiritual lineage every single time. They have the same exact ancestors every single time, only different biological ancestors.
Go ahead.
One last question, because he said that the man came first. Is that correct? What you said, AMUN?
Yes, that's a core. Yeah.
Okay, and as the man comes first, does he have a belly button or not?
When I say that the man, I see what you're getting at. He going in which one came first, the woman or the man? So the cosmology or the teachings of the elders is that this universe is 78 trillion 500 billion years old. We outgrew another universe that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trillions of years old. When we outgrew that universe, we left our bodies behind and expanded our minds, and that past universe became our first Earth. We immediately created out of nothing new physical bodies. It wasn't any birth. It wasn't coming through a woman's canal or the female canal or whatsoever. Once we created these new bodies using the ethers of the Black substance, which a lot of our people can't accept these teachings, in which they teach this amongst the Dogon and the Bacala, as well as other high tribes, which is only 12 on the planet that teach this type of knowledge, 10 in Africa. We then, after a trillion years, start civilization. Once we start civilization, then we start to copulate and go into natural sexual union and starting the natural birth process, which is male and female coming together to produce a child. That starts the cycle of us using the woman's body to come through into the physical dimension. You see that?
It's a portal. Yeah.
Right. That is, but it's at the beginning and end of the universe, it was no such thing as that. It's just everybody self-created.
Yeah, and the deeper you study, the more you realize that how true that is, because you have to, like you said, you have to go back trillions of years to realize, number one, we were fish, basically. We were amoebas in the water and all that, but
that's his name.
Yeah.
And his name, Atum is the one who made himself out of himself.
Yes.
So you have AMUN, is the prayer word for Atum, who was the male female that masturbated and created himself out of that. That's where Geb and Newt came from.
You're talking about principles, or those are like what in masonry, like catechism. Those are just stories that are symbolic of things that take place, because Geb is nothing but the element earth, or the earth element, and Amun, Atum, all that that's sun, the Ra. You see that? And so, Tifnut, moisture, Osiris, vegetation, all of those are just principles talking about how things came about. The amiibo and all that stuff, that's talking about, first cell, first animal cells, protozoa, first animals, so forth and so on. But we would never, like the Hindus say, that we were primitive type creatures and of such. We were never like that. We always had what you call the long-lived bodies, which we stood 7 to 12 feet tall. Our bodies were made of pure ether. Physical, it can go to energy or to flesh, either way, according to the teeth. These according to the teeth. There's so much that I have to cover. I really couldn't do it all here to take a long time. But
but your website is developing to share that type of knowledge, right? Because that's what you do.
Yeah. So we don't have a beginning. That's what I'm trying to say. God always manifests in black skin. That the Most High doesn't have a beginning. The Most High was never a single cell organism. The Most High is self-created, and that's 1,000,000,008,000,000 gods and goddesses, 504 million males and 504 million females. That's the cosmology of the high teachings, and from there we created what they get in religions, the 144,000 plants and animals, or the original totems of life. And we use those to see different planets. And after these things evolve in the waters and so forth and so on, we're not doing the evolving or evolution. We're sitting back as the scientists watching it. And once the earth is ready, then we come and then we start civilization on these planets. And the last planet, our parent planet, which is the Sirius star planet, what the Dogon talk about. And before the Sirius star, there was another planet. And before that planet, there was another planet, until you go back 78,500,000,000,000 years.
And that's what Naima is commenting, that her understanding is that the Dogon people teach that they migrated here from the planet Sirius.
Yes, they teach that, but also the Bakatla teach that. The Zulus talk about that. So the Dogon, the reason people only, if I say Sirius star, people immediately think about Dogon. But you ever heard of Cradle Mutua, Susuni, high priest of the Zulu people?
Cradle Mutua.
Yeah. So he said that it's four other tribes of southern part of Africa that even were more advanced than the Dogon people. But why don't nobody know about them? Because they didn't let white men, accordingly, they didn't let white men penetrate their information and wisdom. You see, and the Dogon does not just talk about Sirius. Sirius is only one star system. The Dogon teach about thousands of star systems. As a matter of fact, I was just talking about this the other day. They talk about thousands of star systems, not just the star system, the star, but all the planets that's in the star system, the diameter of these planets, the radius of these planets, the atmospheric pressure of these planets, everything about each one of the planets in the thousands of star systems that they know. And they have secrets on how to open up portions of the brain that people don't normally and naturally use, which is very difficult to do in this environment. Very difficult.
Yeah, totally. Because people are not studying. You can't have a decent conversation with people who are watching CNN 24 hours a day or watching some other crazy show, because they're not studying and they think this is it. This is all there is. I went to high school. I went to college. I'm done. You can't even have a healthy conversation with people like that. But we got Brianna here. Brianna was making a comment about how it would take a whole lot of balancing of energy. I think she's talking about polygamy and marriage with more than one woman. The women in that situation would have to be in the same page, but what a task. That would be for the man. It's only for certain kind of men. It's only for certain kind of women, sister. You know, it's like the man can be totally healthy. And if that woman ain't on the same page with her health and her nervous system not reacting to every little thing the other woman, nope, not for you. Go move on. I can see where healthy men would have to go through several women to get to the point of having a healthy polygamous relationship. If the man is healthy, that's the first thing. Yes, sister. But then all these women, they ain't ready from my experience. So yeah, here's another comment. Peace fam from Yamhik. Is that Yamhik Rael? So
Yeah, how you doing?
On air everywhere. Are there any other comments from the on air everywhere family? Anybody have one? Your mic is open.
Eddie.
I wanted
Okay.
to say,
Let me have I'll let him speak. Go ahead, Chief, and then we'll let Eddie speak.
I wanted to say something when Sister Brianna made that comment. That's in what you said, sister, is that it's so much chaos amongst our people. I just don't see any reason to even promote polygamy at all. It's just too much. It's too much sickness. It's too much deterioration of the minds, emotions, trauma. People don't even need to think about that. They need to really spend time with themselves, finding out who they are, and getting to know the God or goddess inside of them. But outside, I wouldn't even speak about polygamy. Even people that's in polygamous relationships, some of them, they don't have a relationship with the Most High within them. They may have fun, go out to clubs together, do this together, and it seems like it's okay. But when you don't have a relationship with the divine inside or spirit and your ancestors and things like that, somewhere down the line is going to deteriorate. Maybe 30 years down the line, because they're only running off physical energy. When you're dealing with the Most High, you're running off spiritual energy, and that's everlasting. You see that? And that's why men and women who are married in spiritual relationships, when they're beautiful at 18, they still see themselves just as beautiful in the eye, in their eyes as 74 or 80. You see? Because it's never changed.
You're absolutely right, brother. The signs are everywhere. Every time I go to the grocery store and I see more dark-skinned women with blonde hair and Brazilian butt lifts, I'm like, they ain't ready. Nope, not ready. Just keep it moving. That is just such an example of consumerism, and I don't like myself. That's what I see. I'm not judging. I'm just saying they ain't ready. They ain't ready. I don't like myself. I'm gonna buy wigs, blonde wigs, and go to Dominican Republic and get a Brazilian butt lift. I'm like, oh, when will we ever wake up? Anyway, Eddie, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Greetings to the On Air Everywhere family. How's everybody doing this evening?
Doing great.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Loving the class tonight. Loving it. And as the family knows me, I am the numbers man, numerology. And I stay with 5, but I only add 2 what has already been said. So I'm going to use words dealing with the 5 that you have been saying and speaking these words all night, which we understand. Sister Viata started off with Yeshua, which most people call Christ. Christ comes to 32, which is that 5. I got 5 on it. The brother just mentioned how to get into your spiritual connection to help it manifest. Manifest is 32, which is the 5. This is natural. It's innate within all of us. Natural is 23, which is the 5. And it all starts in the kingdom that we all have. Kingdom is 23, which is 5. And the kingdom is your heaven. Heaven is 23, which is the 5. It's your temple, which is 23 to 5. It all stems and comes from your brain. Brain is 14. Let's switch it up. Where do you get your thought from? Thought is 41. That starts in your brain. This is where everything comes from. As a man and woman think of, so is he and she. So it's the thought that creates everything, because that brain that we're not using, we've given all the power to a computer. Wow, computer is 32. A computer is an artificial brain, family, and that's what we use the majority of the time when we get on these phones. Phones is 23. It's a conspirator to the computer, because that's what we on, given our times. But understanding from that thought comes what is known as love. Love is 14. We repackaged the word. The number stayed the same. 14 is 5. You've been saying sex all night. Sexual healing, sex. Well, sex is 14. And by the way, sexual is 23. They just keep changing the word. The number remains the same. That love that we have to care for one another. Care is 14. That shows how much we share the love that we have. Share is 23, the 5. We started off with the soul mate. Well, soul is 14. And again, as you mentioned, which was so excellent, that the mate, the soul mate, the mate is the mirror. Mirror is 23. That's why your mate mirrors you. It's there with the number, and that mate that mirrors you is your teacher. Both of you are teachers. Teacher is 32. That's why they call Christ a teacher. Christ is 32. And it's the food that we mentioned last week in detoxing. Food is 14. Do I eat this or that? Is the diet. Food is 14 with home. Once I get the right food, I take it home. Home is 14. So, again, that trio that we call 1, 2, 3, or the mother, father, and child, the Holy Trinity. And the last, and least, I tell people to claim what it is, whatever it is that you're doing, that you're in sync with, that synchronicity, as you keep saying. Mine is the 5, and the 5 leads me and guides me. If you know numbers, okay. But for the example of an affirmation and confirmation, since I've been here in Wisconsin, I've been putting in applications to volunteer. Haven't gotten any answers that basically resonates. Went to the VA to get some work done, turn around, see all these pamphlets. I see one that says veterans helping veterans. And it's veterans now helping the veterans who are going through hospice, their last
days. Yeah.
First thing I got for affirmation, family, was to come in for an interview. The address I was given was 10220, 5. Ain't that something? Last but not least, this organization is called Hospice Alliance.
Wow.
Hospice is 30, Alliance is 20. 30 plus 20 is 50. The numbers, like I said, once we open up to them, I'm just being the example to show how they lead you. If you claim it, it claims you. Whatever you want wants you back. With that, family, peace and love, I digress, and I listen and take more notes. Love you, family.
Thank you, Chief AMUN. That's the language of the universe, right? Numbers. And that's one of the things we need to pay attention to is when you see these numbers, that's the universe speaking to you. And thank you, Eddie, for answering that call to help our veterans in hospice, because I'm starting to meet some myself, and it's like there's only so much you can do when they reach that stage, but that's what you are called to do, I guess, because that's what's needed. It's needed. The veterans, the government ain't doing shit, excuse my French, but it's up to the veterans to help each other and support each other, because the government is like so insane, has been. I'm going to say has been insane. I see a new horizon coming and rainbows and butterflies with this new president. So anyway, thank you, Brother Eddie, for that message. And Chief AMUN, did you have a comment after that?
Not so much, but you were speaking about numbers. Numerology, when we talk about ology, that's a Greek word for study, because they studied numbers, they study mathematics. The way that the Dogon go about it is different. They manifest numbers. It's not like, how should I say it? They manifest the numbers, and it works with uh, what is that? They use the Trinity. Somebody said something about Trinity earlier. When we have the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, which is the Father, Holy Spirit, Son, really, and then the Mother, Divine Life, and daughter. So if I, as a male, think of an idea, um, and I put forth the effort or the energy, that's that Holy Spirit, and then the end result would be the child or my son. You see that? So I can you can go into meditation and still the mind and communicate with your higher self and use clairvoyance or what they refer to as remote viewing. If you have the mother of the great pyramids that you see today, that's the mother, then you can know what the daughter looks like through that type of science. So um, they try to make a distinguishment between how, let's say, non-blacks go about things and how black people go about things, because we have our spiritual anatomy is totally different, even not just genetically, but on a spiritual level, on a soul level. Everything is totally different, even how we're wired. And accordingly, they have what you call a group consciousness. uh, uh, we as a people, we have our own individual higher self that we would share with our soulmate. But they have a group consciousness, meaning all of them is connected to what they call a universal consciousness or a oversoul or a cosmic consciousness or what have you. But so meditation with them, they have to forget themselves to try to merge with the mind of he and she who created them. You as a woman, as a black woman, do not have a creator. So you have to go about your spiritual journey differently, which is going within to meet the true you. And then you will come face to face, not with the most high, but the most high as you yourself.
Ooh,
You see
that's
that?
deep. That's deep, brother. That is really deep. I'm like, what? What did you say? Rewind that.
And it's one more thing I want to say with that.
Yeah.
You then will go into divine unity, and you won't see yourself as the soul aspect, as you know, the person who you are now. Your name is the name of your soul in this particular incarnation, but you will see yourself as the creator of the earth, the moon, and the stars, even all the trillions of universes and creations that came before this one, which is 78,500,000,000,000 years old, according to the elders. You would see yourself as the creator of all of those and everything in this one. You see that? So that's is a difference. Our spirituality is totally different. It's an elder from Benin, West Africa, was talking to me about that. He said our spirituality is totally different because our anatomy is totally different. So we have to go by it in an entire different way. So we didn't study numbers; we manifested numbers. It's totally two different things.
That's
It doesn't mean not to start out studying numbers, but eventually what that leads to, depending on how serious the person is, because you just can't study numbers. You have to do fasting. You got to do concentration. You got people doing concentration for 8 hours a day, and it's people. They look at people here. They don't really want it. They don't really want these sciences and stuff. To them, want is, are you willing to sacrifice your life for this, or are you just curious about something? If you ain't willing to sacrifice your life for it, to die right now through initiation and everything that's to come, then you don't want it. That's how they look at it.
Ooh, that's some serious stuff. Let me read a few comments here. Our sister Katrina says, "Peace, my brother. Enjoying your wisdom. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. V. Katrina, I don't know about you. I just had my mind blown on that one. Oh my goodness. You know what though? That's how I felt at Whole Foods when I spoke to this man and said, "You pay for my groceries." He did what I said, and I walked out of there like, I'm the creator. Look what I just did. That's how that moment was exactly what you were saying. I just realized that I had that much power over someone else just from the words I spoke. Woo! I loved it. I loved it. So I got to keep studying. And this brother here, oh, Yamhik says, yes, peace, Chief Amun. But Neb Taharka is
Yeah, I mean,
commenting. And Neb, you know Neb?
no,
Okay,
not that I know of.
Neb is teaching us some higher knowledge about mental telepathy and so much more. And he is saying, great work, my brother. What are your perspective on women and men in their 40s and 50s that still have children under the age of 18 working or merging together effectively as souls and immediate families together?
What is my perspective on blended families?
Yes, I think that's what he's
That's what
saying.
you're saying, brother?
Yeah, you can
I
call in, Neb, if you want to clarify that. Call in.
well, let me just speak on blended families, and I think it's probably a little bit more to it. A lot of men now, I mean, all over. We talk about Kevin Samuels. We talking about various people that's bashing black women now. Black men have been bashed, but black women, oh my God, it got it real hard. Young black women, they just talking about them, and brothers calling other brothers simps and all these different things like that. But we can't look at. We're not saying that our women are not out of order, or brothers are not out of order. We can't look at it like that and just bash them. We have to say, okay, we have an issue, but what is the solution? You see that? Because what they're saying is, if you get with a sister or marry a sister who already have children, then that makes you a simp. Not
What?
necessarily a simpleton, a man that just is becomes a slave to a woman, take on her baggage and stuff. That's what the new concept of what they're saying now. About men that marry sisters with multiple children and stuff, and she has already been out there in the streets and made this baby and that baby, and then you taking on her baggage. They're saying that you're less than a man. But if you are a person that is a healer and trying to heal the nation and the people, and trying to rebuild your people, you can't move like that. You have to have a solution. You have to come to that person. Sometimes that person could be your soulmate, and you're just not meeting that person, but that person already has a child with somebody else. You see that? Some people soulmates are in prison. Some people soulmates are already dead. Some people soulmates are married to other people. But despite the soulmate, if you get, you get with a woman, you have to be a master teacher. You have to have a close relationship with the Most High. To the mind of God, not in the Christian sense, God knows all things. That means that for every issue this sister has, if the sister is workable, if she's willing and compatible, you can present information, she would take it and gobble it up. And that'll start the transformation process, which starts the transformation and healing process with the children. You see that? It's a must. I'm not saying run out here and take on baggage. Follow your destiny. But if that is a part of your destiny, then you have to handle it like a king and present knowledge of self. If she's willing to listen. But all of this stuff is checked from the beginning, and that goes into detail on how to do that in the book called The Science of Soulmates, Marriage, and the Divine Family Structure. Meaning that first, you got to make sure that you're healed yourself. You got to spend time with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. Then you go into the phase of friendship. You see, very, very important. Everybody skip over that and just jump in the bedroom. You ain't doing nothing but just causing pain. You can't do that. You have to, yeah, you can't do that. You have to spend time with yourself, get to know yourself, understand yourself, your relationship with the Most High.
Heal yourself, all of that.
Heal yourself, heal your traumas. Then you get with the woman on a friendship level.
Yeah.
Once friendship that creates honesty. Honesty leads to trust. Trust leads to vulnerability. A lot of people say, no, I ain't being vulnerable with nobody. You're already vulnerable with people. You trust people to give them $20. That's a vulnerability. The only reason people frown on vulnerability because they go from friendship to the bed, or from themselves just directly in the bedroom. How you gonna be vulnerable with somebody you don't know? Why would you be married to somebody you can't be vulnerable with? You see? So it's stages: honesty, trust, honesty, friendship, trust, vulnerability, sacrifice, and it's a bunch of principles that you have to go through. And these are the principles that we went through in our initiation system. Not just speaking about Africa, but all over the world. Even the ancient black folks over here in America, Central America, and South America, ancient China, on the planet. We always went by those principles. We always followed those principles. Those are the natural processes of life and throughout the universe. You see that? So blended families is not, we have to look at, okay, we went through war, we have casualties, we have to see who's still breathing. This brother over here may have to get his leg decapitated, but he'll survive. Does that mean we throw him in the trash can? No, we don't throw him in the trash can. We get the operation surgery on his brother, get him back up to health. He fits in society where he can still help out. Same thing with sisters. You see that? So that's how we have to look at it. But
We've got
knowledge itself.
Yeah, we've got Neb on the phone. Neb, did you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, my brother Chief AMUN. Thanks for sharing your wonderful wisdom and knowledge. Am I being heard clearly?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Yes. I posed the question because the reality of it is both men and women, they have children. And when it comes to blending the family, it really takes sometimes a complex approach to leading and getting everybody on the same page. For example, if you have children that were brought up one way, and then by the woman, and then another way by the man, okay? And then now they got to come together and really take this connection. But the children, what if the children are resistant? And so I know it's a healing process. However, it's a huge hurdle oftentimes, because a lot of times it's a great connection, or I can't say there's so many connections, but then there's this complex piece over here that has to be put in order so that the relationship can thrive and the children can grow effectively. So I really appreciate your response, and even for the men especially with. It's a different dynamic for men, because men kind of want to pour into something. They start a whole nother family a lot of times. So, yeah, I just want you to expand a little bit more on that, but I love what you're talking
about. Okay. You're right. It's a complex situation. I will tell you what my approach, which everybody should, everything. Anytime you're dealing with a sickness, you first have to start with spirit. If you go to a healer or a high priest, I mean, anywhere throughout time, all over the planet, they always going to do a divination first. They always going to go to the ancestral world and find out what's going on inside with the mental realm or the spirit realm, and that's going to show everything trickle on down to the physicality. So, first of all, you got to see if your ancestors even agree with you to be with that woman. They may disagree because they see what you don't see. If they disagree with you to be with that woman, then you can't be with the woman. That's the first approach right there. You have to look at that. And then you got to go to a credible priest. I deal with elders in Africa, not because, I'm looking down on my people here, but the power of our culture, the remnant of our culture is the thickest in Africa. In the culture in ancient times, when we used to rule the planet, it was the same in principle all over the planet. It was the same in principle. I've had divinations by Dogon priests, people in the Bakatla villages in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Malawi, very, very powerful spirituality. And in fact, they look at over here and say they don't see any power, but not much. But you first have to approach it and ask the ancestors. May have to do a sacrifice to them, but ask the ancestors and give that name of that person to them. If they give you the green light, the next thing you have to do is you have to you can't just look at the woman. You have to look at the full package. You got to look at the kids, the woman, as if it's just one person. If it's just one person. Because even though the child is 18, which is supposed to be going into adulthood, of already adult, she may not be strong enough to say, hey, that child need to get its own place and so forth. So she may say, no, I want my babies to stay with me. So now that's another hurdle you gotta take. So first I would approach with the ancestors. Then I would look at all the issues that I have to look at. If the children are not on one accord with the wisdom, you have to see where they are. Is there anything about them that you can work with them? Because like they say, you have to come giving them what they want, so they then can learn to want what you have to give. You see that? You give them what they want. You have to learn how to meet them on their square where they are, to relate to them. You see that? And then if you can do that, even if it's starting in kindergarten, you still can get somewhere. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that's still progress. It just depends on how you value that woman. Because and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna land, but when you're dealing with a situation like that, you have to look at how you value that woman as well. You got to look at your value, or how much you feel like you need that situation, because it all is going to boil down to a path that you got to walk alone. If your ancestors give you the green light, then that's an experience that you have to go through, and you have to know all the pieces on the chessboard, all of the pieces, and not just look at the woman. You have to look at the children too, because those children become your children.
That is so beautiful. Did you have any other comment?
Yeah, absolutely. I look at it the same way, and it definitely poses some challenges when you talk about men and women in their 40s and 50s. The energy is different. A lot of times they want to pour in, or they have done that in such a way, and it definitely is complex, because if a woman has been married before and disappointed, she may not want to be a wife the way she was before, and that man might be drawn to her, or vice versa. But what it boils down to, even if it's a good connection, they both have to influence the children or define the leadership, and that's what creates a very complex situation here in the U.S. with a lot of the dynamics between the different family units, whether they're single or what have you. It's a whole energy thing at 40 and 50 to figure out how to bring this together at that stage in their life. Through my coaching, a lot that's been posed to me a lot, and I just wanted to get your perspective on it. And I agree with everything that you said. And we just do our best to take that on, but it takes energy to do it. It takes a different kind of focus to do it, and it definitely isn't linear, meaning one-dimensional. It definitely takes the ancestors, everybody on board, to really pull it off, and it does take some patience and discipline as well. So that's all I wanted to say about it. I appreciate you addressing it, and I look forward to hearing more from you to help us in these areas.
It sounds like you already taken step one in that situation, but like I say,
it ain't for me. I do a lot of coaching with individuals. Okay. The women I coach about 70% women, and a lot of times they're ready. Oh. They're divine masculine, but they have children, and they may have evolved in some training that they've had, but maybe the children haven't quite got there yet. So the man, there's been several times where they've had a connection, but now they have to look at the receptivity of the children. So, I'm straight in terms of where I am on it, but I'm just picking your brain for some of these situations.
Yeah, now, Chief, you seem surprised that it's 70% women. My experience, when I talk to my friends, it's like, why aren't these men getting some help? It's like more women looking to help themselves, but the men are like, I don't need no help. I don't need no counseling. What's your experience, Chief?
Men need counseling as well. They need counseling, but we have to take it a step further than counseling and therapy. Before we had counseling and therapy, It was a time, especially before the industrialization age, we had generations and generations and generations of family members, different family members. Like grandmother had 12 children. Each one of those children had a family of their own, and all of them make one big circle, like a whole community. And we didn't have all these marital issues and psychological issues and anything like that. Our therapist was.
Yeah, hold on. Go ahead. Keep going. He was asking
Our
if it
therapists. Oh, our therapists were our aunties and grandmothers. That's the purpose of uncles and aunts, to keep harmony within the family, keep all things balanced. Not just y'all stop fussing, but actually keeping the spirituality of the family balanced, keeping the psychology, the mental part of the family balanced, the physical, the financial part of the family balanced. We don't work well as a people outside of a community setting. Our anatomy is for us to work in a community setting. So until we have just our own land and community, which a lot of people are not going to, we will have that very soon. But a lot of people, you'll find that they're not going to want to get into no village setting. But when you have that, that's when you will see total 1,000% healing. Until then, we just can do patchwork. But we could do a lot better than just therapy and counseling. If I were to counsel women, which in a traditional sense, women counsel women because they know women better than men. Men would actually go into the bush and teach young brothers the secrets of the universe, star systems, the anatomy of the physical body, how to preserve sexual energy, how to utilize the sexual creative power, all of that stuff. If I was put in a situation where I had to do therapy with women and counseling with women, I would not do it without having some kind of system of divination, looking at that person's ancestors, what their ancestors see, their ancestors tell me what I need to do to help them. And that's how we always did it. Otherwise, I could be misleading them and not know, you see? So that's my take on it. But if you don't have those elements in place, you just got to do your best. But I would definitely get that done very soon.
Yeah. Kwame had another comment, and that's kind of the work Kwame does, is take young people out in the forest and whip their asses. I mean, no, I didn't. Just kidding. Kwame, go ahead.
It's what we call, traditionally is called rites of passage in manhood and womanhood training. And that you take the girls and the boys and you take them into nature, because nature is our first university. And like you said, you take the man out into the bush and you teach him in the university under the stars. Women are taught how to be producing life and how to take care and nurture life. The other part he was saying too is that the grandmothers and grandfathers, see, we got grandmothers and grandfathers. We used to give lap time to our grandchildren. Now we give laptops. We don't give that lap time that we needing, because we don't take them back to Kitchen Table University. Because a lot of the things that we did culturally were done in the home, and it was done with the elders because we had an elders council. The elders council, and they were our therapists, because who better knows than the one that, like I said earlier, one of my first comments, is that when she conceives, that grandchild is getting ready to come through that child that she's getting ready to have. So therein lies what she said earlier, is that when the spirit helper goes to the woman and talks to the child in the womb and asks what is going to be your helper, that child will tell you is in this village and it's going to be with this person and that person. We've lost the spiritology, not the psychology. Therein lies the part, because they just took the word psych, which is soul, and took it away from the word spirit. That's why you have to do the divination in order for the ancestors to speak, because all the DNA is the recordings of those descended ancestors that are now gone forward to help us.
Absolutely. And we've got Yum Heek. I hope I'm saying that right. I've been following Chief for a decade. He is powerful and never wavers. He is the truth and the light. Absolutely. I think we feel that energy
Thanks,
too,
sister.
sister.
Appreciate it.
We feel that energy as well. And that's why we're here. Higher Learning Network. Zelda says, thank you, Chief, for sharing your wisdom. The website, we did put the website in here for her, trueblacklight.com, right? And
Yeah, trueblacklight.com. And
it's
that
under,
we're gonna
He knew Zakua. So I know he know what he's talking about.
oh, okay, you know Zakur. Yeah, Zakur. I gave Chief Zakur.
I knew Doc knew Zakua. I knew Tahita when she met Zakua, and they got hooked up. They came out of Philly, came down in Georgia in 98, 99. So I've been knowing. Was you at his home going? Because that's why I think I met you.
Yeah, I was there in Georgia. I was at his home going. I'm the one that I went up front to speak.
Right.
It was me and two other brothers.
Right. That's when I met you.
okay, small world.
Nice to meet you again, brother.
Yeah, small world, not so small. Well, we're gonna have to do a part two. I am so grateful to have my mind blown tonight in so many ways, and I realized what you said about divination. That's why I've been led for 11 years to drum in the ancestors at the beginning of every show, and that just came to me tonight how important that is, because that's where the healing starts, as you said, is bringing the ancestor spirit in here to help us. We need help more than just this, business as usual.
Yeah. I was able to do experience a lot of things. There are certain elders that will allow. Let's say if you had a grandmother that passed away, they know how to invoke her, and since she doesn't have a body, they will allow her to take over their body for a period of time so you can talk to that person. And
Wow.
yeah, so my mother who passed away in '93, um, uh, back in I think it's 2020, I was helping a sister. Her husband died on a. He had just abruptly died. Like I didn't even know how he died. So the sister, she called me crying and stuff. She said, "Oh my God, he's dead." I'm like, "What? He's dead?" She didn't say how he died. So I contacted the elder. I think this was in Zimbabwe, and I said, he doesn't speak English. He live out there with elephants and everything. So it's just I got friends over there. I've been over there, and I asked them to translate for me. So we got to help this sister. So he went in his shrine or whatever. He called and allowed his body his soul to take over the body. And he was saying, first, before it happened, he said, "I see a man, a young man. He's sitting on a green motorcycle. He's crying. He listening to some music. He's crying. She said, "Yes, that's him. That's him. The motorcycle was green." I'm like, "What? He died in a motorcycle crash?" She was like, "Yeah." How did the elder know that? So then he came, he allowed him to come through, and he was saying, I've been trying to come back to you. I've been trying to come back home. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. He was confused about what happened. He was out of his body. He kept trying to go back to the house. Nobody can hear him. He's panicking. He said, "I've been avoiding the light for the past 3 days. I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired." He losing energy. She said, you died, Edrix, I shouldn't have said his name. God, you died on a motorcycle crash. You died on a motorcycle. And he said, "Oh my God," and he said, "I'm sorry for everything I did. I'm sorry. I took you for granted. I took you for granted. Please don't cremate me like I said. Please bury me. Please don't forget me." He kept saying, "Please don't forget him. He missed his daughter." She said, "Okay, this is what I'm gonna do, Edrix. I'm going to sell the house. I'm gonna move the kids in with your mother, and I'm gonna move in. And then a year later, I'm gonna buy." He said, "Okay." He liked that. He liked that, but he just kept saying, "Don't forget." And she asked him, did you cheat on me?" And he said, yeah, one time, but I didn't mean it, didn't mean anything, you know. And I was like, what? This is crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. This elder didn't tell me he had that type of power. I mean, they got all kind of, he got power. They got power where if you were to steal something from somebody, you go to them, they'll make that thing talk to the person, to the thief, and give them 7 days to return it, or that person would die. They even called me and asked me one time. They said, because the sister that was doing translating, I had sent money over there. She had some herbs she was gonna send to me, and I gave her like she had like $275, $300. Somebody just took it, and so they asked me. They said, "Do I mind if this person dies?" I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Hey, I don't know. I don't want nothing to they don't look at death like we do because it's not death. It's like, okay, you're just gonna go early, you
Yeah,
know, and you're
sending
still
early.
alive. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, hey, you contacted this. Hey, what about my mother? As soon as I thought about my mother, they said your mother's standing right here. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta learn how to do this stuff. So though they actually trained me, I had to go through a process where I had to learn how to hear and see into the spirit world. And but before that happened, they was got a chance to talk to my mother. It's like, hey, y'all have houses over there, garden? She said, no, there ain't no houses to garden. I said, well, what do you see? She said, you know what prairies are? Prairies is like, yeah, prairies and trees as furthest that you can see. I said, what was you doing before I contacted you? She said, I was eating from a tree, the fruit on it, eating the fruit, and the fruit shimmers like diamonds. And so she was eating that, and I back what that was over about back in '96. Me and my brothers and you know, we going through our initiation process, and we always used to leave our bodies, you know, out of body experience and travel. I mainly did etheric out of body experience, traveled around, walk around in buildings and stuff. Went in a few people's houses. You can sense it was some people's house. Somebody had some stuff on that on the counter. You try to reach and touch it, you can't grab it. Um, I kind of went away. I was more so wanted to learn how to more so perfect the healing arts, how to heal somebody from a distance and things like that. But I just wanted to say that I thought that would be very inspiring. But that world over there is actually more real than over here. You know, it's
And
very
don't you think it's because they don't have as many distractions over there as we have here, like to focus, they can focus on spiritual reality, the invisible, the fifth dimension, fourth dimension, whereas we over here looking at Netflix for hours, and our mind is so distracted over here that Mama Az, I don't know where Mama Az is time, but she is in that world. She's in that realm. She's always speaking to people on the other side and telling us about it. And we're like, yeah, okay, right. We don't get it, but she's there all the time or a lot. But you like you said, is it a gift or you have to work at it to develop it?
some
To get
people. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Some people have it they have it activated. They just got to polish it up. Some people have it activated, but they put it to sleep because of drugs.
Mm.
And some people polish it, but everybody has the ability. So some people can play the piano, but everybody got fingers, and so you can learn how to play the piano. So, but no, even distractions over here. Uh, if that was the case, we're doomed as a people because distractions are all around us. It's about a choice. Do I have the choice to turn this TV off? Do I have the choice to eat this type of food as opposed to that type of food? Do I have a choice to get in my car and listen to the music in silence? Or do I turn the rap music on the radio on? You see? So we these habits is become habitual in the mind, and some people can't sit in the car while it's quiet. They just can't do it because the hormones and everything in their body has adjusted to chaos. And they have to do what you call mental fasting to recalibrate the brain and the nervous system so that they can sit in the car. And then you would actually start hearing sounds and tones inside of silence, you see, and your thoughts will get louder. You see that? So no, I mean it's a choice. Are there distractions out here? Yes. But do we have a choice whether we want to let them affect us or not? Yes, we also have have that choice. It
You
depends
know,
on what we value.
I think my 8-year-old grandson is showing signs of wanting to be in silence. He told his dad, usually his dad wake him up with this loud music, rap, whatever, trying to get him out of bed. But he told his dad the other day, I don't want to hear any music in the morning. We were like, oh, okay. So this younger generation, I have hope that they're headed in the direction you're saying, where they can be quiet, meditative, and then they will be hearing from the. I think he's already hearing from the ancestors, though. He's getting there. That's why I'm in his life because I have to balance these children out from the narcissistic mom and here and then. Like, I got to be serious. I have to be serious about my evolution and my growth because I'm assigned to these souls, and
You are.
it's
That's
a
what you're doing
serious.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a serious.
I I just want to say this about the children, as the elders teach. The lost tribes were called basically black folks in the West. They were actually found by one of the high priests, and the what we call the deities or the gods rejoiced. They were so happy, and it caused a that trickled down into like a domino effect into the physical, and it affected all black people on the planet. In the year 1911, we were only using accordingly. We were only using 2 strands of DNAs, and also 2 strands of spiritual DNAs, because you also have the 12 spiritual DNAs, and you have 12 physical DNAs. And only for 6,000 years was the 2 strands of physical DNAs and 2 strands of, we'll call them ether or spiritual DNAs, were being utilized. These DNAs, each one of the strands have 12,000 aspects of creativity. So we only was using 24,000 aspects of creativity. And despite that, even though we wasn't ruling the planet, we still managed to create basically the basis to all technology on the planet. So in 1911, once the lost tribes were found, they call us the Israelites or whatever you want to call us, there was no such thing as Israelites when the Israelites were a nation. There was no such thing as that. But that's what they call it now. But over a period of from 1911 to the year 1960 AD, the other 10 strands that were inactive of the spiritual side became active. So you 2 strands of physical DNAs, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over a period of 49 years, the spiritual DNAs began to open up. Then in 1961, in the spring equinox, that dominoed over into the physical side, and those people that was born in that year in 1961 spring equinox up to the year 2010, their physical DNAs began to open up. We had a lot of revolutionary periods going on and stuff like that. So the babies that were born after 2010ish to 12, they was born with all 12 strands active and all 12 physical strand active. This does not mean that there are no grown folks that have all 12 active, because people that's doing all this fasting, meditation, I'm not talking about just meditating once a month. I'm talking about every day for hours. People that's doing stuff like that, they be the first to wake up. So only thing after that that they need is the proper structure and initiation process and ritualistic processes. And so now up to from this point up to 2050, every black person on the planet will be enlightened at that point, about 26, 25 years from now. Totally enlightened. They'll start seeing images and stuff. These already happened of their past lifetime and stuff. They're getting intuitive knowledge. Rap music, negative R&B music, and all this other stuff in these frequencies, and eat smoking and drinking and all this stuff, it blocks that natural occurrence and slows it down. And it's not something that the powers to be, like the government. No, it goes all the way to the evil angels, as they call them, the evil angels, the extraterrestrial beings who act like they nice and all that, and they not. They come from the it's a lot I can say, but they're behind keeping the cloak on human beings because they want the planet for resources. I talk about the drones and stuff, but they want the planet for resources, so they have to keep people like us, have to keep our people asleep as long as possible. so they can prolong their rulership. You see that? But they won't succeed because they have a plan, but the Most High is the plan of all planners.
Isn't that the
Yeah.
truth? Isn't that the truth? In fact, Billy Carson was just talking about how to uh, improve your DNA strands, and it's like you said, daily, all day meditation and affirmations and changing your lifestyle. That's part of it. He was saying. I just saw a brief TikTok really on what he was talking about, how to improve the DNA. But you're saying children born after a certain day, after a certain year, have all strands?
They're born with all strands into a chaotic society, so it gradually goes back to from 12 to 11 to 10 to 9 to 8. It depends on the parents. I mean, how ignorant are the parents? What are the parents doing? You're putting your child in the car, you got the radio on, you're feeding your child synthetic foods, which I say, if you're giving your child processed foods of any kind, that's child abuse. It may not be child abuse in court, but it's really child abuse because the child don't have any. That soul don't know no better. It only can. It depends on you to feed it. If you ain't giving it fruits, vegetables, or grains, it's child abuse. If you feeding your children all these cereals and stuff that's processed wheats and grains, processed grains and stuff like that, it's child abuse. Juices, sugary drinks and stuff. No, the only thing they should drink is water. That's it, spring water. And they want juice, they eat fruit. That's how they do. They eat 3 times a day. Um, People, as the elders say, you shouldn't eat no more than once a day if you about 25 or above. You shouldn't eat no more than one meal a day. That's it. They say, well, people to get older, they get body odor and stuff. That's not normal. It's because you no longer have knowledge of self, so you don't know how to cultivate your physical body and reach metabolic maturity. You see that? Metabolism. Reaching maturity of the metabolism, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. You see? But I don't want to go into that because that start a whole nother
Yeah, we got to do a part two. So stay tuned. I am so grateful. I got my work cut out because that's all my grandchildren, poor things, between their mother and this person, my son. Ooh, I tell you know what I do? I just have them please read the ingredients. When your dad or your mom are presenting you with stuff that came out of a box, look at the ingredients. This is not food, it's chemical. And I'm preaching that message, and my granddaughter's like, well, I don't like you lecturing to me. I'm like, honey, I'm trying to save your life, and I'm trying to keep you all out of prison because this at the rate things are going. Sometimes I'll be not putting you in prison. Yeah, it's a battle. It's a real battle when the household is not healthy and strong. It's a battle for sure. But that's why we're here tonight. So thank you so much. Thank us. I want to say a big thank us to everyone who joined us tonight. And I don't know if there's some people in the green room like David Jenkins. Do you know David? Who David Jenkins is?
I know David. What's up, David?
I didn't know if David wanted to comment because you all been hanging in there. Tanisha, Chanel. I'm just bringing you guys in just so I don't want to, ignore you. If you have something to say, just go ahead and open your mic, and we'll give you a second or a few seconds. Otherwise, I just wanted to acknowledge that you're here. I hope you didn't. If you didn't, so these are people. Imagine you invited.
Well, thank you. This format was well done. Dumela Chief, Dumela rather, and I enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was very informative. And for you, sister, keep up the good work. Yes, I will wait for and look for the part 2.
All right, Kirby. Let's see. Did I miss Kirby? Tanisha. Jedediah doesn't have a device connected, so I'm not going to open anybody whose device. Did either of you want to comment, Kirby or Tanisha?
I just want to say good job, Chief, and good job, sis. Always appreciate the knowledge and the wisdom as always. Love it.
All right, thanks, Brother Kirby.
All right.
And Tanisha, you're next. Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't have anything to say. Thank you though.
All right. Well, thank we say thank us. Thanks to Kwame always reminding us. Thank us, united souls, united spirits, that we have come together. We are all so much richer because of Chief sharing all this wisdom and knowledge. And so I'm with the Female Solution, and tomorrow morning, Zelda, our Monday morning mindfulness host, is going to be talking about how to take advantage. Let me put that. How to take advantage of TikTok turmoil on Monday morning mindfulness, and that's her YouTube channel is Higher Learning TV show YouTube. So join us tomorrow morning at 7, and we're going to say goodnight to everybody and play our farewell closing with the Female Solution Global Radio. And we look forward to having you back again, Chief, because that website, especially as your website evolves and changes, we want to hear more about what you're doing.
Okay.
And how we can contribute or help in any way whatsoever.
All right.
Okay.
It.
All right. So let's say goodbye to our global family.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
And to all my yogi friends out there, namaste, sadnam, and aloha in Maui. And let us say, hey, y'all in California, because you all going through the fire. Okay, we with you. We're praying for you. But that fire is rough. You know, we know what's going on. Wink, wink. And North Carolina, aloha, aloha. We all got to stick together and just pray and go into your inner self. I say for all of you going through the fire, my dad's favorite teaching was the psychology of adjustments. Because if you in the fire in LA and California and in North Carolina and Maui, you're blessed because you have a challenge like nobody else, and you can get over it. And we're praying that you will, because you got a testimony for us. All right. Mwah. Love you all, and we'll see you next time.